Let's look at the impact the party has had so far. I'm joined in studio by political analyst Israel Mkhize. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I think perhaps let's first start with how much of an impact the EFF has had on the political landscape of the country in the past 2 years.
Well, the EFF has had three impacts on the political landscape of South Africa. Number one is to provide an alternative political economy within the broader discourse of South African politics because of their emphasis on the left, labor, back to the land kind of politics. Number two, their success has been to rely mainly on what we call the emancipatory kind of thinking in terms of political philosophy. Hence, they appeal on Marx, they appeal on Frantz Fanon, they appeal on Steve Biko's kind of thinking, which you don't find mostly in our political landscape. Then thirdly, their third achievement or impact on our political economy is to challenge the what we call the grand narrative or the hero narrative. For instance, we admire in Africa liberation political parties that took us out of colonialism and threw us into democratic dispensation, but we do not necessarily challenge them or confront them with guts when perhaps they're in power and we need to be a force of checks and balances. I would say that EFF, they've tried to project themselves as people who are fearless or could challenge the big story, the big party kind of narrative.
But how much work has been done? Is it all talk, or has there work been done in trying to achieve those aims?
Well, as we can see, when we looked at the cries of one of the defector group of guys, they were saying that when they started, they pronounced 7 pillars. But as their political life is progressing, it looks like they're actually having or focusing just maybe on 2 pillars and have actually added another pillar which was not in the 7 pillars, which was to shout pay back the money, as we always see on television, which other people, as we saw on one of the newspapers today, they're saying, have they lost their political soul? So there has been a diversion or an overemphasis on one of the pillars, which is perhaps anti-corruption, and in neglect of other important pillars, which then puts them to fail to come across as a managerial party or a party that we would see and say this is a party that is ready to govern, but they are more emphasizing on the area of their revolutionary consciousness, as the term would go, that they are more strong on revolutionary theory, revolutionary practice, decolonization, anti-whiteness, as the slogans would go. But that needs to be balanced, because if you are, you think of Lenin's text, the what is to be done text, where he tries to think as a leftist on how does the leftist revolutionaries, if you will, as political thinkers, as the vanguard party, how do they begin to imagine themselves within the government and state apparatus? So we are not seeing that much projection where they should be projecting themselves more as the managers perhaps of an economy as big as the size of South Africa.
And that begs the next question. When the EFF was birthed, many analysts thought that they wouldn't last this long, yet here they are still standing today. Do you think that the party has staying power?
Well, they do, because there's a lot. If you look at the structure of our economy, and a lot of people where economy is growing, but there's no employment. You find that there's a lot of people who are thrown in the undergrass of the economy. Then they develop a lot of anger. Then they would see EFF perhaps as a channel to channel that anger in parliament, in the state, to say, look, EFF is our voice. So on the question of growing, they could grow in terms of popularity with those people who are disenfranchised with the current establishment. But on the question of being seen by the voter as, will they be able, do they have capacity to manage, I think there has to be a lot of building on that, and it will be reflected mainly on local government elections.
And only time will tell. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That was political analyst Israel Mkhize.